And just like that, we welcome you to the Ultimate Hockey Show here on Game Time TV. I'm Michael Dell, joined, as always, by Red Petty. Good evening, Red. How are you?
Very good, Michael. How about you?
I had a pretty good day today.
Right on.
Had to take care of some medical thing this morning. Went to do my civic duty, which is
Yeah.
voting. And spent contemplating the rest of the day about the NHL playoffs and just how crazy this has become. I'll be honest with you, I was thinking before the weekend, maybe last Wednesday, Thursday, oh boy, we're gonna have some quick series. A lot of 2-0s, 3-0s, and here we are on Monday, about 9 days after the playoffs have started. We only have a couple series at 3-1. We have the entire Western Conference at 2-2,
hmm
and a whole lot of uncertainty about a whole lot of teams. And some teams that looked like they were down for dead have suddenly found some life by virtue of returning home. Yes, I'm talking about the St. Louis Blues. Also, the Edmonton Oilers could be factored into that conversation. But no, what have you thought of the last 9 days of hockey?
I would agree. It's been, I mean, none of our picks are completely wrong yet because no series has ended yet. So that's good. We're still 0 for 0 in terms of our picks. Um, but I agree with you. I'm really I say I really honestly I really I'm surprised by the momentum changes in series from game to game, week to week, or even like from home to away, depending upon where a team is playing, even within the game, like a game where some team is up and has control of the play, has outplayed the other team for huge chunks of time, and then suddenly they get a goal scored against them or two late in the third period, and then lose in overtime. Like that happened to LA last night. I thought LA totally outplayed Edmonton that game.
Yeah.
Like they deserve. You just looked at the quality of chances and play and everything else. LA outplayed Edmonton for the 60 minutes, but they didn't outplay them in the last 5-10 minutes, which is the most important when you're up 3-1. And they didn't
Yep.
outplay them in overtime when you take a penalty and you have to fend off McDavid and Draisaitl and the company on the power play, and that's tough to do. And then you look at another game like Washington and Montreal there. Game 3, Washington came back and won game 4, but game
Yeah.
3, Washington had that one in the back pocket and they just let Montreal come back out of nowhere. That was really, and then Colorado and Dallas. I mean, I think you sent me a text that the Stars have only been leading in this
Mhm.
series for like 7 minutes, but those
Yep.
7 minutes were all at the end of games or in overtime, and they're tied with Colorado 2-2. And yet, if you looked at the games, you didn't look at the score, you just look at the quality of play and what's going on. Colorado has outplayed the Stars. So
Yeah,
it's,
the I'm just looking here. The text I sent you was prior to game number 4, and it said as follows: through the first 3 games, the Dallas Stars had led the Colorado Avalanche for just a minute and 2 seconds.
yeah, there you
Only
go.
the second time in NHL playoff history that a team leads the best-of-7 series through 3 games despite holding the lead for less than 2 minutes. The other two, Montreal versus Detroit, the only other one was Montreal versus Detroit in 1951, where the same deal was that the Habs won twice in overtime. So, woulda, coulda, shoulda. There's a lot going on. We welcome those of you tuning in now. If you have a comment, you can leave it in our comment section. We will talk about it uh, as it relates to the topic. But, Brett, I think we've delayed the inevitable long enough. I'm curious what you have to say. Um, last week, we were sitting here with the Jets up 1 game but none in advance of their second game you and I had the privilege of watching together. 2-0 for the Jets going to St. Louis. And I think the only way I can say it is, the wheels have fallen off a little bit. Your thoughts where we are ahead of Wednesday's game 5? Series still tied 2-2, though, coming back to Winnipeg.
Yeah, Michael. That's I'm gonna say something, and you might be surprised, but I'm gonna say something.
Go ahead.
I picked the Jets prior to this year's playoffs, based upon the regular season and everything, and how they've played. I expected them to win the series. I expect them to win the Stanley Cup. Like if they stay healthy. Now that might just a caveat, right? I mean, if they lose Morrissey and Scheifele and Connor and Hellebuck in the first or in the next game, well, it's like all bets are off. But I expected them to be there. I called them to go to the Western Conference Final and win, and then play whoever comes out of the East. But this is the thing. We talked about this periodically through the season, and we talked especially at the beginning of the season. I am a little bit, what's the word? Oh, and I should also say this caveat. The Jets can still come back is not the right word. And now it's a best of 3 series. If the Jets win all their home games, they win out. St. Louis can't win this series if they don't win on the road. So St. Louis has got to win one of the next 3 games at home, or one of the next 2 that they play on the road that they have to win at home in order to win the series. So if the Jets win out at home, they're fine. Now they've gone 7 games. That's exhausting, but looks like all the other series are going to go at least 6 games in the West. So it is what it is. But that being said, I'm not saying they're not going to win, but I have spoken about this. And then I would say sucked in is not the right word, but I get charmed. I get, I would say misled, but I get charmed, wowed. I get of how well the Jets played during the regular season. But yet my caveat always at the beginning of the year is like it was at the end of last year when they got beaten 4 straight by Colorado and got bombed, is the Jets are, I still believe this, the way that they are constructed, they can't win a Stanley Cup. They are too soft. They are highly skilled, and playing a playoff style with playoff type guys for 82 games a year, like the Bruins, St. Louis, you pick your team, Washington, whatever. It's hard to play that way every night, to drop down and grind guys in front of the net and knock guys over and block shots and just lunge for every inch of every piece of ice. You can't do that 82 games. There's lots of travel. You ups and downs, you get sick, your kids bring a cold home from school or from daycare and you feel crappy. It's hard. But teams that are designed to win in the playoffs do better in the playoffs. And all they need to do is get in. And then that style, that grit, that determination can overwhelm a team that wins on skill. And I think the Jets, they're a great team designed to win during the regular season. They play a defensive style. Other teams can't keep up with their speed. They put lots of pressure on the puck. They're good on the power play. They're okay on the penalty kill. They have a pretty good goalie. They win a lot more games than they lose, and they end up doing very well and making the playoffs. But in the playoffs, where are Cole Perfetti and Vladislav Nemestikov? They're invisible. I haven't seen them for 4 games. They haven't done anything. I don't even know if they have a shot on net. They have no points, nothing. And you got those 2 guys. You got Pionk. Now, Pionk plays big for his size. Okay, fine. Sandberg, he's not a tough guy. He's not Colton Parayko. He's not Justin Falk. He's not that guy. He's a good defensive defenseman. Luke Schenn is that guy, but he's 10 years ago he was that guy. Now he's just old and slow. Logan Stanley, yeah, okay, but he's on the 3rd pairing. And then you got Dylan DeMello, who's great during the regular season, plays well with Morrissey, but he can't clear the front of the net. If you watch the games, the Jets just get pushed around all the hard areas. They can't control. I don't know if you watched the game on Sunday. I watched the whole
I
thing,
did.
and I didn't watch it like from a cheering the Jets on perspective. I watched it just from how does the puck flow? Who has the puck? Who manages the puck? Who controls the puck going in, going out, in the zone, out of the zone? The Jets, they hardly ever could carry the puck into the zone. St. Louis had 4 guys across, not killing a penalty, even 5-on-5. The Jets if they can't carry the puck into the zone, it's hard for them to create offense. They're not a dump and chase team knocking guys off of pucks. St. Louis is. They got a lot of big forwards. Perfetti, Nemestikov, even Niederreiter's big, but he's not tough. Appleton, Tanev, Anderson, Dolan, they're all small. They're great guys. Great. I'm sure they're great in the dressing room, nice teammates, but they're small and they get pushed around. DeMello gets pushed around. Morrissey gets pushed around in front of the net. Pionk gets pushed around. Samberg gets pushed around. Shen is pushed out of the way, not so much, but he skated around. So the problem is the Jets can't defend. If you notice the game, St. Louis carries the puck into the Jets zone almost every time. Power play or not. 5-on-5, St. Louis very rare, unless they have to do a line change, but most times Jets are back. Oh, 2 defensemen jockeying 3 forwards. St. Louis brings the puck in, cycles around. Maybe the Jets maybe they don't. But the Jets, St. Louis always has 4 guys back, and there's a wall trying to skate through it, and they can't get through. Now, is that coaching? I don't know. Is it, I think, a little bit of his heart? It's grit. The Jets didn't turn over a lot of pucks. Pionk or Perfetti and Nemestikov and Niederreiter, they hardly ever had the puck. They got the puck in their own zone, dumped it in, and then they just came right out again. And the Jets, on the other hand, get pushed around. All those goals against Hellebuck, it's all traffic. They said, we got to create traffic for Hellebuck. He's a great goalie, but he's not a great goalie if he can't see the puck. Every single puck is guys in front of the net, deflection, in front, knocking all space, and nobody can push him out of the way. And so the Jets, in my opinion, now, could they win this series? Sure, they could. They could come out on Wednesday night. The power play they get 3 power play chances. Velarde's back in. They score 2 power play goals and they win a game 4-2 with an empty net, or they go back to St. Louis up 3-2. Okay, fine. But I'm just saying they get through St. Louis. Now they got to go up against either Colorado or Dallas. Another big team, big forwards, talented. They get through that. Then you got to go up against LA or Vegas. Big team, big forwards, grinding them out. The Jets are not made to win in the playoffs. That's my opinion. Now, could they win? Sure they could. But then Hellebuck has to be fantastic. And Hellebuck here's my impression of Hellebuck. Like this, right in position, and then zing, zing. Oh, that went over my right shoulder. I'm going to look at the defenseman who didn't get out of my way. He's all positional. You know, I saw with Binnington. I watched last night Picard. I watched the goalie. I watched Kemper from LA. I watched the goalie from Washington there.
They seem to battle. They seem to
They're
battle.
all gamers. Exactly. They flop. They get up. They move around. They're always doing something. They got leg kicks. Fun. Hellebuck is just, I am a robot. I am a goalie robot. Shoot it at me. I will give you low percentage chance to shoot puck in corner. And you know what they do? Every single goal. Do you see the goals that they score? What's his name? Kyrou, top corner, zing, right in the top corner. Next guy, top corner, zing, deflection, top corner, all within a little box like that. Okay, maybe they're lucky, fine, but you got to battle. You got to be better. You're not good enough, Hellebuck. You're the Vezina Trophy winner. You have the lowest goals against average. You're the number 1 team in the NHL winning the President's Trophy. And the last 2 games, they got bombed. 7 goals against. The Jets didn't allow 7 goals all year. And in a playoff game, they allow 7 goals. That's not good. So I get sucked in every year. I drink the Jets Kool-Aid. I do that thing. And you know what? I'm not doing it anymore. I don't think they're going to win. And honestly, this is my prediction. Whether they win this series or not, they're not winning the Stanley Cup. They can't with this team. Even if Ehlers comes back, I could be wrong, but they're just too soft. They're not gritty enough. They're not strong and tough enough to knock guys out and to clear the way. And Hellebuck's not enough of a battler. And then you say, well, now they've lost 3 years in a row in the first round when they were a first place or a second or within the top 4 in the league. You can't go on like this. It's insanity to do the same thing over and over. But yet, you know what the problem is? Everybody signed long-term. Scheifele, Hellebuck, Morrissey, Connor and Ehlers not yet, but everyone else. Velarde, Iafallo, Nemestikov, Perfetti, Niederreiter, Pionk, Samberg. Oh, Samberg is going to be there. But I'm just saying Samberg is not the problem. This is your team. This team is the team. They're not going to trade half the team away. This is the team.
So
how do you fix it? I don't know.
So I know we're gonna have a post-mortem when it comes, and it should come by next Monday's show. How do you fix this? Like, it's not an easy fix because I don't think there's any. Like, to me, what you're describing is I don't think there's any prospects in the system that will right away wipe away this perceived size problem that the Jets have.
Well, it may not even be size. Like, look at Caulfield, look at Suzuki. They play with a little bit of grit. They play. Why do they have the puck on their stick way more than Perfetti does? Perfetti hardly ever has it in the offensive zone. He doesn't have it on his stick a lot. Now you could say, well, he's not playing with a big center. If he had a big center, well, Caulfield plays with Suzuki. They're two small guys. And then they play with Davidoff or whoever is the third guy on that line. You know, they're not huge. They could skate. They got skill, but they're a little bit gritty. They go after the pucks. They do what they got to do. Now, Perfetti's a good occupier. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying there's something wrong with this team, and I can't figure. Is it playoff grit? Is it determination? Is it will? Is it strength? Is it? I don't know. This is the third season after winning those first 2 games and laying those 2 eggs in St. Louis. It's not like they lost 2-1 and 3-1, just like St. Louis did here, or lost once in overtime. They were all close games. They weren't close games. The only period that was close was the first period on Sunday. And then the Jets let a third goal in with like 5 seconds left. But otherwise, that whole time in St. Louis, they were outplayed, outskated, out-hustled, out-checked, everything. Out-pushed in the corners, out-pushed in front of the net. No positional play in front of the net, no chances. All the goals that St. Louis scored were in close, rebounds, deflections. The Jets had nothing like that.
I gotta ask, even though I'm pretty sure I know the answer. If the Jets go out in 6 or 7, Cheveldayoff's job is safe, correct?
Well, he's apparently been told he has this team until he doesn't want it anymore. But I don't know what you do. If the Jets lose this round, let's say they go out in this round 1 again for the 3rd year in a row after being a top 5 team the last 3 years, and then always being chosen as the team to win in that first round, like to be picked and then to fall off the track 3 years in a row. What are you going to, you're going to keep going? You're going to do this thing again to win a big people? Lou Lamoriello wouldn't. Lou Lamoriello would trade Hellebuck. Lou Lamoriello would trade, pick your guy, Kyle Connor. He'd trade Morrissey, Pionk, whoever. This isn't working. And I like them. That's the thing is I want to cheer for the Jets. I don't know what it is. Is it they don't have enough complementary guys with more grit? I don't know. Are they hurt? Or is it just adjustments that Scott Arniel hasn't adjusted to what St. Louis and the coaching staff have done? The Jets seem to skate pretty good in the first 2 games at home. They were able to control the puck and to bring it in. They had space to bring the puck in and control the puck in the offensive zone and cycled it and had chances with the puck and moving it around to the point, shots on the net and rebounds. I didn't see that game on Sunday. The Jets were, after the first period, that was a mail-in. That I don't even know what that was. You could have put 5 guys out there from a beer league, and they would have done the same thing against St. Louis. It was like the Jets just got the puck, dumped it in, change it up. Get the puck, get it out from St. Louis, get to the red line, dump it in, change it up. No sustained pressure, no forecheck, no nothing. No offense. Zippo from Morris or from Lowry's line, from Nemestikov's line. The fourth line was better than Lowry's line and Nemestikov. Lowry and Nemestikov's line were almost invisible. I don't even remember until the end of the game where there was a big scrum and then Lowry was trying to pop some guy right in front of the St. Louis bench. Yeah, it's a little too late.
So how does this end?
Well, if you're asking me what I see, unless the Jets do something miraculous, like is Velarde going to be the difference? I don't know. But is Logan Stanley going to be in the lineup tonight, or on Wednesday night?
I have no idea. Apparently, he was injured.
Yeah, he's lower body injury, but whatever. But they got to figure something out. Like if they play like they did on Sunday, it's over in 6. Like they're not winning another game. I mean, they might not score another goal. So whatever you did on the first games 1 and 2, you got to do it. And Hellebuck's got to be better. I mean, he has to be better. Yeah. Don't just get a shot scored against you and then look at your defense and like, what are you doing? Like, not good enough. Battle.
Yeah, I just don't know what he can do on a lot of those goals when he's being screened. Yes, he can fight it and try to get better positioning, but like for me, it's like I said on social media to some people yesterday.
Yeah.
If you think this is solely on Connor Hellebuck, your frustrations are misguided. I can understand there being, some blame on the Hellebuck front, but there's just nothing. Like he's not seeing anything. The biggest sort of picture that I have is I don't know on which goal it was. I think it might have been the second or the third one where Tanev is kind of standing there deciding whether to go down and block it. And by the time he makes his decision, he's kind of half in the block it, half let it go. And the puck just gets blown by him and blown by Hellebuck. And I think that summed up the whole kind of thing for me. Unfortunately, this is the way it's going to go. I think the Jets are going to lose this series. I don't think there's any way tangibly that you can turn this around. I'm a Jets fan through and through. I am stunned at the Game 2 to Game 3 to Game 4. No adjustments, no nothing. I'm shuddering. Like, what's gonna happen if they get out of the first round? They do not get out of the first round. Pardon me. And then how you can go about justifying this again? And who knows? That'll be a discussion probably for next week. Should they lose this series? Game 3 is on Wednesday, Game 5 is on Wednesday. Game 6 is on Friday. Game 7 will be next Sunday. So we'll see what happens. Is there any credence, Rhett, anything at all in your mind that has to do with them being on the road?
It could be. I mean, you can't, but they were the NHL's very best road team. So I don't know, Michael. I just
can't figure out how a team falls completely off the wheel in 2 games.
They can't win if they don't score on the power play. They can't win if they don't get power plays. Then they can't win if they don't score on the power play at least once a game. When St. Louis scores once a game, they have to score at least once a game and even that up. They can't win if Scheifele's line is the only line scoring and having any offensive zone time and any offensive pressure, any shots on net. A shot on net from the blue line, a wrist shot by Dylan DeMello with nobody in front after Perfetti and Nemestikov get shoved out of the way in the front of the net, and it comes in 40 feet, and Binnington has all data. That's like playing softball in the backyard with your kid. I mean, that's as easy as whatever, as easy as falling off of or falling over when you're standing up. It's not hard to do. Any goalie is going to snag that puck. But there's just they can't win if Namestnikov and Lowry's lines are not scoring. I mean, Appleton comes down, beautiful pass by Lowry, comes down, drills a beautiful shot, wrist shot off the crossbar. I guarantee you, if that was Kyrou or that was Thomas or that was, you pick your guy on any other team, that's in the back of the net. Now again, Appleton's a third line right winger. Okay, he's in the NHL, but you don't get 100 chances to score. You got to bury him. You're right in the slot. There's nobody on you. The goalie's one-on-one with you. You got to bury that thing.
Yep.
You've got to. And the Jets are just, they're not scoring. And the only line that has any pressure, like I said, is Scheifele's line. Now, maybe things will change up. I think what's going to happen is Velarde's going to go back on the power play, the number one part, which is going to be a huge change already there. And then
I think Velarde helps with the net front.
Yes, Velarde helps. So I think Velarde goes on that first line. I know other people have been said different. I think he goes on that line with Scheifele and Connor. Second line, you put Iafallo with Perfetti and Namestnikov. Iafallo has grit. Iafallo is not afraid to go in front of the net and go in the corners to fish out pucks. Iafallo can play at those. Then you put Namestnikov, and then you put Niederreiter back with Lowry and Appleton. And the fourth line, you have Barron centering Tanev and Iafallo.
No, Barron. If you said Iafallo's on the second line, then
Barron centering Tanev and Anderson Dolan.
Yeah.
And
it'd
then
be very interesting.
That's a different story. But anyway, yeah, I just see them putting Velarde on the first line. I just do, and I see Iafallo playing with Perfetti and Namestnikov. But
it'll be very interesting. Let's talk quickly about the other series in the West.
You bet.
Dallas, Colorado. What do you see in this series?
This has been a very interesting series. I mean, Colorado has just outplayed Dallas. I mean, Dallas, they don't look like the same team without Robertson and Heiskanen. They just don't. It's your number one defenseman, and you could argue your number one forward. Maybe not your number one centerman because he doesn't play center, but he's your number one forward. I think he scored the most goals all season. So they're not the same team. And yet, Dallas battles. They're gritty. They got big guys. They don't let the game get away from them. They're in games into the third period, 2-1, 2-2, close games. Then all it takes is a little bit of grit, a little bit of luck. Boom, you get a goal, or you tie it up late, go into overtime. Anything can happen. And that's what Dallas has done. And they haven't outplayed Colorado. They've just kind of hung around. Some points they play them even. A lot of times Colorado has a ton of zone presence, a ton of cycling, a ton of shots on net. A lot of shots are getting knocked down by the Stars defensemen or their forwards, so shots aren't getting through. And now after 4 games, they're tied to 2-2. And that's kind of what we thought. I mean, I thought the series would go 7 games, so I shouldn't be surprised it's 2-2. You thought they'd go 6, Colorado go 6, which means you're thinking Colorado's going to win the next 2. It's possible, but I could see the series going 7 games and each game being 2-1, 3-2, 4-2 with an empty netter, all low scoring, all grind them out. All 3 could go into overtime. It's possible, but Dallas is being outplayed.
It's played out according to the way we thought it would.
I would say so, yeah.
Vegas, Minnesota, 2-2 going to Vegas tomorrow. Minnesota, in my mind, missed a golden opportunity to go up 3-1 with that overtime loss.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, well, Minnesota's showing me way more than I thought they had. I don't know about you, but I know they're a good team. I mean, you don't make the playoffs when you're not a good team, but they made the playoffs in the last few weeks of the season. Vegas was way ahead of them in the standings. Vegas is, they've won it before. They've got lots of veterans there. I mean, Minnesota has lots of veteran guys too, but yeah, they've been Minnesota has been very good. They've been very gritty. They've played their style of play there. They've played it defensively, and yeah, I'm surprised that it's still 2-2. I said Vegas would win. I just thought Vegas would be up 3-1. And then
Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
Red, but I think I said Vegas in 7.
yeah, you did.
Yeah, see, so this series is kind of playing out the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
It just seems to be the Matt Boldy, Kirill Kaprizov show, and the Wild will go as far as those guys will carry them. Gustafson's been okay. Are you surprised at what we've seen from Vegas so far? Like, I expected better from Vegas, if I'm being honest, through 4 games. But I don't know if it's Vegas just taking Minnesota lightly or what have you. But what have you seen from Vegas? I mean, like, if it's not for some world-class goaltending by Aiden Hill last night, this is a 3-1 series going back to Vegas in Minnesota's favor.
Yeah.
What have you seen from the Knights? Like, to me, the Knights just, they don't look extremely dangerous or as dangerous as I thought they would over the series so far anyway.
I would agree. I don't know what your take is. I just think they go according, in my opinion, they go according to Mark Stone and Jack Eichel. And I just think Jack Eichel has just been, he's been okay. He hasn't been great. He's just been okay. In fact, there's been times where I've hardly noticed him in the games that I've been watching, which for your number one center and your superstar and the guy that you traded for and the guy that helped you win a Stanley Cup just a couple of years ago. I'm just surprised that now what happens is guys don't say anything, and you know this, right? Guys just start not being as effective, and then you find out after the playoffs, oh, he was injured, he had a separated shoulder, or he had a sprained wrist and he couldn't shoot the puck, or you know what I'm saying? But they play through it. They take a shot and they maybe can't shoot, but they can pass, they can do all the other things right, and they're still in the game. So I don't know. It looks like Eichel's injured or something's not quite right because he has been off. And Mark Stone came back from injury right before the playoffs. I don't know if he's 100% because those two guys drive the bus, and they've been just meh. They haven't been the superstars that they are, or haven't played like they normally do. How about for you? How do you see Vegas and Minnesota?
Vegas to me has been underwhelming. But again, it's Minnesota being with it. I mean, like, I think, like, for me anyway, that like Vegas lost Kaprizov, and they lost was it Boldy? They lost somebody for a long period of time. Kaprizov and who was it? Anyway, they lost Kaprizov and one other guy for long term. When those guys were gone, or when those guys were in the lineup, they were right up there with the Jets with as far as, first place in the Central, first place in the conference. I think you could argue Kaprizov could be a Hart Trophy candidate, maybe an Art Ross candidate for most goals. And having those players in the lineup has injected Minnesota's offense. Their goaltending has been also pretty good, better than I thought it would. I don't know if you would say that Aiden Hill has been outdueled by Jonas Gustafsson, but that's kind of the way it's been, and we're here going to Vegas 2-2, and I think this is as much a toss-up as the series would suggest. And Vegas has been good on home ice. Both teams have lost, one on the road and won one on the road. So, this is a dead even series, and I think it's right in line with what I thought it would be, a 7-game series. But again, the winner of, I think, tomorrow's game, yeah, it is tomorrow, will have the chance to close it out in Minnesota on Thursday.
Yeah.
Now let's quickly shift over to the other series in the West, and that is LA and Edmonton. And listen, the comparisons to the Jets St. Louis series are kind of striking. Um, Edmonton, quite honestly, looked like the Jets in that first two games, and then they wind up winning the last two on home ice, with LA taking kind of their foot off the gas. What is it about? Are we oversimplifying this to the point of, but as long as you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on your team, you have a chance?
Well, listen, yeah, okay, they're the two, you got to argue they're the two best players in the world. So, I mean, I just think in some ways, I think LA has been a little bit unlucky. They've outplayed Edmonton. In my opinion, LA's outplayed Edmonton. Edmonton just has the ability to strike at any moment, right? So if you're up by a goal going into the last 3-4 minutes of the game, you know Edmonton's going to pull a goalie. You know McDavid and Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, Bouchard is going to be on the point, and Nurse. They're going to blast pucks. They're going to set up Bouchard to fire his cannon, and they're going to put traffic in front, look for rebounds and deflections. That's what they do. And you got to be ready for, or he's going to fake the shot and pass off to somebody on the side. If you go down and go to the side, to the wing to pass over to either McDavid or to Draisaitl for a one-timer. So you got to expect it, right? Because they can score at any time. And I just think LA they've been good, but they haven't been good enough to tighten it up at the end. They've outplayed Edmonton. I mean, they were up 3-1 yesterday into the third period. You should win. If you're up 3-1 in the playoffs, barring some catastrophe where you take a high sticking major and you have a 5-minute power play against you, and then maybe you get another penalty.
Unless you pull a Vegas in San Jose all those years ago, and the Sharks scoring 3 goals on a 5-minute major in Game 7 and then coming back to win in overtime.
Yep.
Yeah. But it is it's very interesting. Ian asked a question. Hi, Ian. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for popping by. He's asking, who's the better player, Jack Eichel or Kirill Kaprizov? He thinks the series might change that answer.
Yeah, well,
is it Kaprizov?
Well, I would say up until now it's Eichel, because he's got a Stanley Cup and he's older and he's done more and he's accomplished more. Kaprizov is still relatively young, and Kaprizov, I think, is a winger, right? Eichel's a center. I always think a center's better than a winger, but just they're more valuable. Centers can play wing. Wings usually can't play center. But I don't know. I don't think they're the same type of player necessarily.
No, they're not. They're not. One's a pure goal scorer in Kaprizov. I'll say this: Kirill Kaprizov might be the most complete pure goal scorer in hockey.
Yeah. Listen, he's a good player. He sees the ice well. He makes his line mates better. He makes really nice passes, offensive plays that a lot of guys can't make. So, but Jack Eichel's like that too. He's made some great passes. I remember when they won the Stanley Cup that year, he made some passes to Marcia Show and to Stone for goals that were just incredible. So I don't know, but he's right. It's probably whoever wins a series. Like if Minnesota wins, it's going to be because the Kaprizov was amazing, and if the Vegas Golden Knights win, it's probably going to be because Eichel's been pretty good. So who's the better player? Well, you're right. Let's see how the series plays out, whoever wins, and see each of those guys, how they played in the next 2 or 3 games to decide it, and then we'll know a little bit better. But I would agree. Whoever outdo it, you could argue that. You could say whoever's better in these next 3 games, potentially between Minnesota and Vegas, either Kaprizov or Eichel, whoever plays better, his team will win. I think there's a direct correlation with that because they have that much influence on their team, on the power play, scoring goals, everything, how the team plays.
But isn't that the same in every series?
Well, not every player.
Like I would argue that if Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are better than Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle, you're gonna win the series. And if Matthews and Marner are quieter over Stützle and Tkachuk, that the Leafs might be in trouble.
No, because I would argue this though. You could have Vegas winning the series and Adin Hill, like he did, playing incredible, and they win a whole bunch of games. They win the next or 2 out of the next 3 games, 2-1. And Eichel, he doesn't score a goal. One goes in by the 4th line off of a shin pad, whatever. So Eichel, he might not even come into any of the scoring, and Vegas still wins, but they win because of fortunate, some lucky breaks, some goals by the 3rd and 4th line, and by Adin Hill playing out of his mind. So, and yet Kaprizov is the best Wild guy, and he scores all the goals for Wild, but they still don't win. So I'm saying you could still have Kaprizov outplaying Eichel one-on-one in terms of stats or whatever, and still have the Knights winning because of other factors. But I'm just saying, in general, I think because they're so important, they play on the first line, they're on the first power play, they're always on the ice. They're at end of game, if they're down, they're on the ice, right? So I just think they're going to have that much influence. But anyway, we should keep going.
What do you think of Edmonton, LA?
What's that?
What do you think of Edmonton, LA? Is that still LA odds favorite?
Oh yeah, I still think because it's hard to win in LA. I still like.
I think the teams that have home ice, if you're in a homer series, it benefits you pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's why, Rich, honestly, I think I did with Justin. I was had a chance to just today have 2 of the 3 at home. To St. Louis all of a sudden can't lose at home. It's quite remarkable. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Let's talk quickly out east. Toronto up 3-1 on Ottawa. Argument could be 3-1 Ottawa, 2-2, but it is 3-1 Toronto. The only game Ottawa clearly got outmatched was game number 1 in a rout of Leafs rout of Ottawa, but the last 3 games have gone to overtime, 2 of which have favored Toronto. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, it's been a great series. I've really enjoyed watching this series. I agree with you. I think Ottawa's had some really bad puck luck, just some really unfortunate things happen. I think, in my mind, Jake Sanderson's been one of the very best players on the ice, better than Morgan Riley, better than Thomas Chabot, better than he's played incredible. And Ottawa, I think, has deserved a better fate, but that's sometimes the way it is, especially when you're a little bit of younger team, and sometimes it's just the way it is. You don't get any puck luck or something happens. So, but that being said, I am not I picked Toronto to win in 7 games. And if you're asking me, I'm telling you, there is no reason if Ottawa can lose 2 unfortunate games that they should have won. Why can't Ottawa win in Toronto and back at home and push it back to Toronto for game 7? They won the season series against Toronto. How about them getting a little bit of luck with the puck, get a couple of lucky bounces, have some things suddenly go their way? Yeah.
I'll leave it at this, Rich. If Ottawa goes into Toronto and wins tomorrow, that series is going 7.
Okay.
Or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because then you're saying they're going to come back to Ottawa and just, the fans will go crazy then. Yeah.
I mean, they were already crazy. Never mind. The one interesting part is Toronto, right? They got that overtime winner from Simon Benoit. Everybody needs one, but by equivalent, that would be like the Jets getting a double overtime winner from Logan Stanley. But yeah, no, that's kind of been the way that is. Let's look ahead to tonight and the fact of the Battle of Florida going to Game 4
Yeah.
at the in Florida. Name of the arena escapes me. Aberrant Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida. 2-1 Florida. Has this been the best series of the first round?
Well, I just said I like Ottawa, Toronto, so. But it's been interesting. The road team has won the first 3 games, eh?
Yep. Yeah. And to me, I think the winner of tonight's game wins the series. Just because I think if Tampa can get it back home 2-2, 2 of the 4 at home, but I don't know. Like to me, this has a bite of nasty. This has a bite of snarl to it. The coaches are exchanging barbs back and forth in ways that only Paul Maurice and John Cooper can do.
Yeah,
It's going to be a really good game tonight, I think.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a very good game, very entertaining to watch. Yep, I'm actually looking forward to that one. I don't want to. I know my wife will sometimes say, "Oh, can we watch the news?" And especially tonight, "Oh, can we see an update on the elections?" And I'm
Yeah.
going to say, you know what? It's no point in watching the elections until it's over, and then you start counting, and that's the only thing that matters. You can't see the 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 gameplay of the election, but you could say the gameplay of a hockey game. So
Right.
that's
Right. But
I'm going to
no.
stay with the game. I'm staying with the hockey game. But yeah, I listen. It would not surprise me at all that because they had a good year this year, Tampa Bay. I see Tampa Bay winning this game, and now it goes back to a best of 3 with the road team having won the first 4 games, which is crazy, but that's what is going to happen, I believe.
Sorry, say that again.
That the Lightning are going to win tonight.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah. No,
road
I'm
team is
with
going to
you.
win the first 4 games, and the series is going to be tied up.
I'm with you. I still think this is going 7. And I don't know if the winner of this series gets past Toronto or Ottawa because they'll beat each other up. But I mean, those are 2 teams built to play sustained playoff hockey, and the Eastern Conference has gone through that Florida Tampa loop for the last 6 years. So
Mhm.
it's interesting that way. But that's besides the point. Montreal, Washington, a series, but I thought the Habs would win in 7. Is now on life support with that happening. But to Montreal's credit, they lost game 1 in overtime. Game 2, I think they weren't entirely competitive in. They take game 3 at the Bell Center. They looked good yesterday until a big hit Tom Wilson on Alexander Carrier. Full disclosure, I think that was a clean hit.
Mhm.
But man, oh man, oh man. Montreal sure giving it a fight, especially with a backup goalie.
Yeah. No, listen, to me this series it's such an interesting thing because you've got the young upstarts who came in the last game of the season, the playoffs, Washington who's been there fighting for the President's Trophy all year and now they were in second place overall. Washington is one of those gritty, tough, hard-nosed teams that's designed for the playoffs to win. Montreal is a highly skilled team. Lots of skating, lots of skill, passing. If they get power plays, they score a lot. I mean, they just move the puck around really well and find open guys. But it's been such an interesting dichotomy because the 2 teams playing against each other and how you could argue Montreal could very easily have this series tied 2-2 now after 4 games. So Washington, I think, is still going to win this series, but Montreal has showed well. And considering they're that small and skilled, they've still been able to show their skill against a Washington team who you could argue is one of the largest, the toughest.
Yeah, they might be the biggest.
Yeah, but they play that playoff style hockey like LA does all year, and like You could argue Florida, maybe like
Yeah.
the Bruins used to. I'm saying that style, that tough, hard to play against in front of the net, winning pucks in the corners, grinding. There's no superstar. I mean, okay, Ovechkin's a superstar, but I'm saying he's 40 years old, right? So, but I'm
Right.
just saying no guy that pops off that lineup like other teams have, even their goalie, and yet they win because they have balanced scoring. They get goals from Mangiapane. He's playing on the fourth line and he scores a beautiful goal. Like I'm just saying, they got balanced scoring, 4 lines that can actually go to the net, get goals, score. And Montreal to hang in there with them, that's an amazing thing. That's a real
And I think
testimony to the Habs.
In Montreal's defense for what's coming, I think they're going to be a really good long-term team. Once they start adding more pieces of some consistency and some size. The other series, but I don't think it's catching a lot of people by surprise. New Jersey won 1 game in overtime, but will have to face elimination tomorrow, 3-1 over Carolina. This one, to me, is not as about as I've expected. Carolina is just that much better, that much healthier, I think would be a key word. Although Frederick Anderson left the last game with an unfortunate injury, but it does look like Peter Kashetkov will start tomorrow. But the injuries are just wearing and tearing on the New Jersey Devils, not the least of which is Jack Hughes. But to be honest, I think their problems run a lot deeper than not having Jack Hughes in your lineup.
Well, Jack Hughes, they haven't had Brendan Dillon, who you could argue he's one of those guys that you want in your lineup playing defense, right? During the playoffs, that he's a guy.
Yep.
And they're also missing another defenseman. Oh, Kovacevic, right? I think they're missing two.
Yeah. Kovacevic as well. And then, So it's just interesting, right? And I still think we're on a collision course to Carolina, Washington, Toronto versus the winner of Tampa and Florida, and then out west, with all the series being 2-2. That'll be interesting. Let's wrap up this show by talking about the Winnipeg Jets one more time. Their next game will be on Wednesday night. There's a concert tomorrow. No Canadian teams playing tonight because of the election, not as intentional on the part of the NHL. Concert tomorrow, game Wednesday, game Thursday game Wednesday, game Friday, and then we'll see about Sunday. I have my doubts whether that's going to happen.
The Jets play at 8:30 on Wednesday night. I saw it on the NHL network and the NHL website. Why? What do you?
Well, I'm going to the game, and it's going to be a late night. That's all I'm going to say.
You better have a nap. You better have it like the players. You better have a pregame nap.
Yeah. 8:50 puck drop. Lovely. The Central Division puck drops. Listen, I don't want to come across a homer. I also want to buy what the Jets are selling me long term. I think this Jets series goes 7, and I think the Jets will win on Wednesday. I'm just not sure about Game 6, and I'm just not sure about Game 7. I have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact of the way the season was and the way the playoffs started, that the Jets will go out losing 4 straight. I can't wrap my mind around it. Maybe I have to.
Me neither. I'm the same as you. This is not the same team as last year. The last
but
2
I
games.
think they win. I think they win Game 5. That's me.
Yep. Well, I'll say this: whoever wins Wednesday night wins the series, because a Game 5 normally is the deciding game. If it gets to a Game 5, it's either like a team is up 3-1, and the team that wins, if they win Game 5, and they're the 3-win team, then they win the series. But if the team that's won once wins on Game 5, they got to win out. They got to win 3 in a row, and that hardly ever happens. So, and then if you're tied 2-2. Whoever wins game 5 only has to win one of the next two. So I think I read somewhere too that game 5 is kind of that pivotal thing that if there's a game 5 in a series, the team that wins game 5 wins like 85-90% of series if it goes to game 5. So
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
so
So
that's my opinion. Whoever wins, the other team cannot win 2 in a row. I don't believe can win 2 in a row. In
yeah,
my opinion.
no, me neither. I think it's just so close.
Yeah.
What do you make of home teams overwhelmingly defeating visiting teams so far in these playoffs?
Except for
Florida.
the Lightning and the Panthers.
I saw a crazy stat where the home team has only lost 6 games, but 4 of them have been the Tampa, Florida series.
Yeah.
Figure that one out.
Yeah.
But
It shows you.
Sorry?
It shows you that home ice is a big deal this year. Yeah.
I mean, one of my friends was trying to be optimistic, and he said, Mike, the Jets could go 0-16 on the road and still win the Stanley Cup.
That is true. That's what I said. Like the Jets, in theory, could win the Stanley Cup and never win on the road if they win all their home games.
Trust
In
me.
theory. Now that's
Trust
not gonna
me, that'll be way too stressful to handle
Yeah.
4 game 7s.
Yeah, 4 game 7s, 4 7-game series. That would be something. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no,
But
I think the Jets are going to figure things out. I think being at home, they've got to figure out a way to clear the front of the net to get Hellebuck. I think Hellebuck has to play out of his net a little bit more. I think he's got to be out a little bit more.
Yep.
And I think they got to clear space more in front of the net. And I think they have to go to the hard areas. I think they're going to get goals by pushing pucks to the point and going to the net and screening shots and getting DeMello and Morrissey and Pionk and Sandberg and Shannon Stanley to just pump shots at the net. Just shoot, shoot, shoot. Get rebounds, get blocks, get tips off of shin pads. That's how you win in the playoffs. You could get a pretty goal once in a while in the power play, but for the most part, 5-on-5 goals are not pretty. They're just lucky bounces, shooting at the net, getting a screen, getting a guy in front of the net at the right time. That's what it is. And the Jets, I think, will find a way. Whether they win the series or not, I don't know. But I think they're gonna figure it out for Wednesday
here's the
night.
question. I hate to broach it this late in the show because it might go on into a Rich rant. Do you have a comment on the officiating through 9 days?
Again, some of the penalties, not just in the Jets series with the
No,
Blues.
I have a Montreal game in mind yesterday.
Some of the penalties that they call, I mean, again, it's almost like, and it's so weird because the game will go, they'll let them play in the first period, also little hooking and slashing, and all goes, and then they'll start the second period at 0-0, and they'll call the first minute after some cheap penalty. A guy just does a little whack in the hands, and it's exactly, the guy looks, here's the player. He looks at the ref, he goes, me? Like, me? For what? Like that, they're actually saying that. And then he looks up at the screen, and the coach looks up the screen, they go, that? You know, like that, yeah. They can't believe it because the first 20 minutes of the game, that was let go. And now in the first 5 minutes of the second period, you call it, and it's in the neutral zone. It's not on a breakaway. It's not on a 2-on-1 where a guy's a chance to score. You call that. I get that. That's 100% because that's infringing on a scoring opportunity. But in the neutral zone, a guy gets whacked or gets his hands a little bit, and you call a penalty. To me, it doesn't make any sense. It's not. It's what is that phrase? You got to read the room, right? You know, when you're in a social setting, you got to read the room. And it's like the refs, they don't read the game. They don't read the room. Like, but then the other part that drives me nuts is you get to a game 7, like last year between Florida and Edmonton, and there was almost assault with a deadly weapon on the ice, and they don't call anything for the whole game. I think there was one power play, and that whole game is hooking and holding and grabbing and tackling, and it just, come on, like, that's the other extreme, right? So to this, I just, if it's consequential, call it. If it's not goal consequential, let it be. Just let it be. Anyway, that's my opinion. How about you? How do you think?
No, I agree. I think the refs have been too involved. I am shocked at the level of fines. I don't know if you saw this. Montreal and Washington were both fined for warm-up antics yesterday. But no, it's going to be very interesting. I would rate the officiating a 6 out of 10. Um, and we'll see what happens. I just what drives me wild is the rule book and goalposts seem to change regular season to playoffs, and that's a penalty in January, but it's not in April. It makes me crazy, but that is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts Rich, before I let you go?
Go Jets, go.
Go Jets, go! You're still believing, even though we could come back next week with potential elimination. Um, we'll see about a show later in the week. We'll have to play it by ear, depending on when round 2 starts. My sources tell me that round 2 will start next Monday night. So we might be okay for a round 2 preview to come back next Monday, but we'll play it by ear. For Red Petty, Michael just saying have a great night, and we'll enjoy the hockey.
Enjoy the games tonight.
election. Enjoy the election too if you're into that kind of thing. I'll be flipping back and forth, but for everybody involved in the Ultimate Hockey Show, I'm Michael Dale alongside Red Petty saying good evening, and whoops, I'm trying to find my exit. Here it is. On behalf of Rich, this is Michael saying good night from Winnipeg, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.